All right, welcome to the Creation to Cash Flow podcast. On this podcast, we discuss strategies to maximize your creativity and help you achieve financial freedom. Hey, Michelle,
Hello, Nick.
how's it going?
Oh my gosh. I have an update.
I'm ready.
I have a penthouse update. I think there's a lesson to be learned in it. If you don't know, if you haven't heard, backstory, I thought I was supposed to move into the penthouse. It just felt so right. That's how I kind of live my life is I'm like, "Oh, does this feel good?" And it felt right. And I was like, "Oh, it's going to happen." But it wasn't effortless suddenly. Like something happened. Like there was total miscommunication, misunderstanding. And I had a decision to make where I could keep forcing something to happen, which I don't like to do in life because hello, that's just like never been working in my favor, or I could be like, okay, maybe I was wrong and I'm gonna let this go. I'm gonna be completely grateful for where I currently am. Although I had a dream that I was supposed to be somewhere else and I really thought it was gonna happen, like it's not meant to happen or else it would be. So I'm like, I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna do my thing. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna start dreaming about what I could do in my current apartment still. Like, what could I do? And I'm not kidding, Nick. I can't explain enough how important it is to let things fall into place the way they're supposed to. Like, I did nothing. I didn't force it. I, like, completely took my hands off the gas. I was like, "I'm here. I'm here. Whatever the plan is, I'm gonna go with that. I'm grateful. I love my life. I love who I am. I love what I do, no matter where I'm living." And long story short, it all like, they came back to me. They were like, "Oh my gosh, we were completely wrong. There was a huge misunderstanding, and you qualify. You overqualify." Still didn't even ever ask for my husband's income, which is crazy. Like, I qualified with just on my own for this penthouse, and which to me is, like, really encouraging because not that it matters, but I like knowing that I can do things, on my own, and it just makes me feel very empowered and honestly just so grateful for how blessed I've been. So anyway, they're like, "Okay, so when do you wanna move in?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, this is actually happening," and it's terrifying because I feel like it's what I'm supposed to do, but I'm also like, "That is so much money." Like, this is either going to be really good or it's gonna make for a really good story about, like, "Oh my god, don't make mistakes, whatever, whatever." But I'm like, but at the end of the day, I can't stay where I'm at. I can't. I know I'm not supposed to. And even when I tried to shut the door because I was afraid, it was like God or the universe, whatever you believe in, was like, "Oh no, oh no, we're not doing that. It's gonna happen. It has to happen." And I'm like, "Okay, like I'm just here. Tell me what the right tell me how much the check needs to be." So yeah, I think I'm moving in a week, like next Wednesday. I think I'm moving next Wednesday.
Oh my goodness. How many floors higher in your building is this going to be?
It's on so there's the rooftop, and then it's right underneath the rooftop. So it's the penthouse floor, I think it's floor 31.
Wow.
So wait, 30. 30 or 31? 30. One of those 2, because there's also a ground, like, basement level. Anyway, it's at the very top. I'm just so grateful. Again, I would've been happy staying where I'm at, but I'm like, "Why is this happening? Why does this why is this my next step when I used to live in a $900 apartment in Covington, Louisiana that I couldn't really afford? Like, what is happening in my life? Like, what am I doing?" I keep asking myself, like, "What have I done to, like, get this?" Like, I don't understand. It's so crazy to me, but I just feel like I put in work and I don't look at the outcome a lot. Even like, how much I make, I don't look at the numbers. I'm just like, "I'm gonna keep putting in the work. I know things will come." And it's like, I don't know, Nick, what do you think about all that? Like, I'm just so mind blown. Like, I even tried to make it not happen, and it was just meant to be, and I don't know what's gonna happen.
I think that's so crazy, and there really is a lot to be said for like whatever. Not to get, like, too woo-woo on people, but, like, there really is some sort of, like, higher power, universe helping you, like, there is always something, like, we always know as people, like, we have these gut feelings and instincts of, like, "Uh-oh, this doesn't feel right." And we have others of like, this feels right. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I just think it's so cool to see it unfold this way because you were getting that feeling of like, this is what I'm supposed to do and it's what's going to happen. And then you tried and they were like, nope, sorry. And you were like, weird. This is going against what I was expecting to happen, but okay, I'll just let it be. And then they come running back and they're like, we fucked up. You're supposed to have this. This is meant for you. And then you're like, yeah, well, I knew that actually in a weird way. I knew this was going to happen. So I guess I'm moving in a week.
Yeah, and so many people applied and toured it, and I'm like, "How is it still available?" That apartment used to be over $17,000 when I moved into my apartment complex. 17,000. It has gone down because it's the biggest apartment here. And so I'm like, I I just don't know. It is crazy, and I think that it's just so important that I look back and be like, "How did I respond when things weren't going my way? How did I react?" And I think that that is really what I needed to see. How am I responding in something that's super stressful? Because it was stressful. Like, I was getting brand collabs together, and then they were like, "No, it's not gonna happen." And I was like, "Whoa," like, I didn't even think that was an option. And so then I had to kinda, like, take a step back and pivot. I'm like, "Okay, well, then I'll buy my husband the $3,000 TV he's been wanting." And then now they're coming back and I'm like, "Oh, okay. All right. I guess this is happening." Like I think it's so important to be so unbothered sometimes by the like things that are not in your control. Being unbothered is so important, guys.
It's so important. I think we have an episode literally titled like how to be unbothered by things. And that I think that was the episode where we actually talked about where you were like, yeah, I thought I was supposed to get the penthouse, but like I didn't. I feel like that was that episode
I
because
think
that's
it
what would
was.
have usually on Monday nights to give everyone some behind the scenes. I'm like, Michelle, what's going on in your life? Like, how do we make the extraction for what we're going to talk about? And that was probably what came up. And you were like, yeah, but I'm not even bothered by it. I thought it was supposed to happen and it's not, and it's no big deal. That was only a couple episodes ago, so it's crazy how this unfolded.
Yeah, and it's wild because the thought of me paying over $10,000 for a rent somewhere, I would have thrown up if you would have told me this a year ago or 2 years ago. Like, even the apartment I'm in, the thought of paying the $8,000, I was like, "There's no way this is gonna happen." But it felt right, and I was like, "Okay, like, I guess this is meant to happen, I don't know." And then, my income flourished from there. So I'm like, "Okay, what's gonna happen in the penthouse? I guess we'll all see what's gonna happen. Is it gonna go up? Am I gonna get, like, what's gonna happen?" We don't know, but we will know because me and Nick will be talking about things, the good and the bad.
Yeah, totally. I feel like we're really good at being transparent about that, like when things are going good, when they're not, how we're actually feeling. Um, and all of this is just a lesson in in never giving up and never quitting, which is our topic for today too, because it all ties in so perfectly. I had one of those moments. This was a little while ago now, but when I was in Costa Rica, we were at this waterfall and like jumping off the rocks and doing all sorts of cool stuff. And there's also this like rock slide that you can go down. And like something was telling me because like everyone was doing it. Like I was like, we were having fun, like climbing ladders, jumping there, like rope swings. There was all sorts of cool stuff. But this rock slide specifically, something was telling me it was like, Nick, don't do that. And I was like, huh, why am I getting this weird gut feeling? And like from when I used to do jujitsu, like I have this like recurring tailbone injury, like just from getting smacked on the ground so hard by so many gigantic dudes. Because there's not really weight classes where I was doing it. They're just like, hey, like Nick, you're with. There was this one guy that was almost 7 feet tall. He was huge and so jacked. And they were like, yeah, Nick, like you're with him. And I'm like, great, I'm gonna get whooped. Um, and it's so funny because something was just telling me, like in my gut, like don't go down that. It's not going to be good. And everyone who did, especially this one girl, had like a gigantic, like black and blue bruise right on their tailbone. Because apparently, when you go down, like this is not like a man-made thing; it's just rocks in the wilderness. And I was like, and I know that would have like messed my shit up. And I was like, wow, that's so interesting that like I couldn't actually tell by looking at it and like something was just like I was just having a feeling that was like that's not the right move for you. Like yeah, and I was like, "Okay, cool, whatever." was like, I wanna go down it. I love things like that, but I was like, "Cool, not for me." And the penthouse is for you, apparently, so that's incredibly exciting.
I don't know why, but we'll all find out. Cause to me, I'm like, "That is wild." Like, there's so many pros and cons that I wrote down and, like, so many moments where I was just overwhelmed. I'm like, "But this money could be going towards this," and, like, ugh, all these thoughts in my head, but sometimes I just get, like, a little slap, and I'm like, "Listen, Linda, do what's in front of you, do what you know you're supposed to do, and everything else will come. Stop worrying about the rest."
Yeah, it's true. Who's Linda?
You know, the spirit animal of Linda, kinda like a Felicia or a Chad, like, "Listen, Linda." Have you never heard that saying?
I don't think so.
Oh my god, Nick. Dude. You've never heard, like, "Listen, Linda." It's this little kid. It's like that thing have you heard "Bye, Felicia"?
Yeah.
Okay, so "Listen, Linda" is kinda like a "Bye, Felicia," but it's like,
Mm.
"Listen, Linda." You just say it. It's just a saying. Oh my god. I can't believe you don't know that. I
I don't know.
know.
There are some things that I'm just oblivious to, and there's other things that I know too much about. But anyway, like let's we can reel it back into how this all like is just about how like you never quit. Like you were living in a $900 apartment that you were like not even able to like comfortably afford. Um, there were probably a million and one chances that you could have just like stopped because things were getting stressful or scary. And even still right now, like right now is one of those moments. Like you could back out. I'm sure it's not too late. You'd be like, actually, like change of heart. I don't want to do this. Like there are chances to quit everywhere. And you just have like tunnel vision to your opportunities and to what feels right. And it's so impressive.
Yeah, I definitely didn't start that way. It's been a process. I've it's been one step at a time to get to where I'm at today. But yeah, and I really hope that this freaking podcast is like so encouraging to people because I know that so many people feel like quitting all the time.
Here's another fun, like, intuitive thing that I'm exploring lately. I love all the private coaching I do on the side of my many things that I do and brands meet creators and things like that. But I've decided to start stepping back from that a little bit because I do so much more than just like social media coaching and business coaching. I have so much I want to share and I'm changing up my school group completely, and I'm gonna turn it into a place where I dump everything that I have, like all of my like spiritual work and resources, all of my like nutrition and diet and things and the way that I eat. And I'm just gonna turn it into something that feels so much better and in more alignment because I have so much business knowledge to share, and I'm gonna put all of that in there too. But I've just been getting a feeling lately of like I'm building in the wrong direction and like it's been massively successful, but I want it to make me happy and I don't want it to feel like a chore. And the best way for me to do that, I made a list of my values and everything that I'm like, these are the things I value in my life. I'm like, those are the things I should be speaking on. It shouldn't just be like business and financial independence. It's not just that. I value so much more and I've been for the last like 3, 4 weeks, like been doing so much deep meditation and breath work and all sorts of things, like talking to holistic health coaches and like really sitting with all of this. And they're like, you're a little out of alignment. Like you're close, you're right there, but like you have so much you want to share and talk about. And your business, like that should be the place. And I truly believe that like business and personal development resources should be affordable to everyone. And like I've been so out of reach to so many people that need my help because I'm just limited on time. Therefore, I have to charge a lot. And I was like, I'm out of alignment with like the mission that like I want to help as many people as possible. And that's something I've been intuitively exploring lately. And much like your penthouse, it is going to be a very similar story of like, we'll see how it goes. We're just following our gut here.
Gotta love life.
I know. It's really something. And just like you said, it has been a process, not just like over the last few weeks, but like since I've been conscious enough as a human being to know, like, what do I want my life to look like? Um, and there really is something to be said there of like turning off autopilot, like stopping just going through the motions and distracting yourself constantly with like TikTok and Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime videos and YouTube. Like, there really is something to be said for shutting out all of the noise and just giving yourself the space to think and have those intuitive gut feelings, because if you are too on autopilot and distracted, you're going to be listening to this thinking like, wait a minute, I never have those feelings. And you have to give yourself the space to. Like, I've had to step back from a lot of things and commitments and just spend a ton of time like meditating and thinking and just laying down on my yoga mat with a towel over my eyes and like 438 hertz like vibrational music for an hour and just like truly thinking about like, who am I? Where am I going? What is my mission? And I used to never give myself the space to do that. So I would never have those intuitive gut feelings.
Yeah, it's definitely something I never had, like, back in 2020. I mean, I did have it, but it really blew up when I stopped moving so much. Like, it's crazy. It's like the less that I was pushing myself to do things that I was just committed to, like work and stuff like that, I was able to actually hear the thoughts that I had been suppressing, or at least, like, one step at a time, trust them either. Like, you gotta know, and it's a process. And, yeah, it was so scary at first too. Like, thinking back at the first brand that, like, couldn't do the monthly contract with me anymore, oh my god. I thought I was gonna lose it. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna have to go back to work and get a job again." Like, I felt so, like, anxious because I wasn't trusting that more would come and that that closed door was a good thing because it allowed the opportunity for a better door. So, that took time for sure.
We're gonna have to change this episode title to like listen to your gut instead of like yeah, I love it though. I love that like it was supposed to take this turn. When do you feel like you have these like moments of intuition? Like, is there like a certain time or a certain thing you're doing? Because for me, it's always like in meditation or after like some crazy breath work.
No, Nick, it's my it's so all over the place, but that's just how I operate too. Like, I love kind of being all over the place. Mine isn't, I guess it's hard to say that because for so long, I have put up so many boundaries to give myself way more time with no noise. Like, I'm always on do not disturb, everybody knows that. I'm always like, I don't have music on during the day, I don't listen to things, so I'm constantly kinda listening to my brain, unless I'm with people, but I'm very protective of who I spend my time with and who I give my time to, and so it's kind of all the time. I have these, like, thoughts and I have these, like, feelings, and obviously, when I ask myself how I'm feeling, that's a good, a good time when I can actually hear, but I used to have to constantly stop myself and do the meditation and ask, and yes, of course, that helps, but nowadays, it's kind of like I get random feelings out of nowhere, random visions and, like, daydreams, and I'm like, "Where the heck did that come from? Like, what is happening?" So yeah, mine's kinda just like I just have to be so in tune all the time with myself, and if I'm distracting myself and being busy, I'm not in tune with myself, I'm in tune with outside things.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. It's so impressive how unreachable you are. I always talk about this. Um, and for some people can't do that. And I'm one of those people. Like I probably could. It would just be such a big shift. I feel like people need me all the time. And like part of what I've set my life up to be is like helping other people and putting out fires. And that's just how it is, and that's okay. So like I have to give myself these spaces and like blocks of time where I'm like, okay, 90 minutes this morning, all like my only available things to do, almost like I'm in a jail cell where I'm like, I could sit there and think, I can read, or I can sit there and think about reading. And I haven't been doing that as much as I should over the last few months because I've just been in a building phase. And then I looked back and I'm like, oh, here's what I've built. Like for example, to start the year off, I had so much momentum and I was building such a cool business. Like the first day of this year I was like, I really want to build a big business. And the first day of the year, I made $10,000. I was like, what a January 1st. Like we are on the right track. And I started like building and growing. And even though it's been amazing and I've helped so many people, I'm like, I've turned away more people than I've helped because they can't afford me or or this or they're not qualified or whatever the reasons are. And I was like, I've been giving myself the space lately, and I'm like, that's not my mission. My mission is not to be that out of reach and just build a big revenue machine. Like that's not my mission. My mission is to help as many people as I can. And so many of the people that weren't qualified to work with me, it's just because they haven't done that inner work yet. They haven't found themselves, and they're just like, "Hey, can you show me how to make like $10,000 a month?" And I'm like, "I need to show you how to think for yourself first, how to write in a journal, how to start eating like you care about your body. Like there's so much that has to happen to build a business of that size." And I've given myself the space to think about that lately. And I was like, you know what? We're knocking down this building and building something fresh and something where the doors are open to more people. And that's all just gut feeling. Like I'm not sure like what's happening that has made me decide to do that, and it's going to be quite a thing to build. But I'm like, you know what? This is what I'm supposed to do, and I just got to follow that. Just like you, like you're going to move into this penthouse next week, Michelle, and who knows what that's going to look like? I mean, we know what it's going to look. It's going to look beautiful. Like you're going to do it up, but who knows what it's going to unfold like? Is this going to be the best thing ever? Is this exactly what was supposed to happen? Or is it just a stepping stone where you're like, oh, I'm just supposed to live here. And then in 6 months, you're going to be like, I'm actually supposed to live on the roof with the birds. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that the way you help people is so different than me. Because I mean, if you've never heard any of our episodes, you may not know, but I've been in acting school for this, I mean, 6 months now, right? I mean, I started last year a little bit, but it really started in January. And for me, Nick, it's so crazy because if I think about it, I want to be able to tell people's story and really reframe a lot of society's mindset. And the way that I see myself doing that is through acting, is through telling the story that these writers say. And it seems so like such a far reach out there. But for me, I have to have no noise to be my best self, to work on my instrument as an actress and as a dancer and a singer, whatever. Like, I have to give myself that space because the way I want to help people is I can't think creatively if I'm just doing, doing, doing. I can't think outside the box. I can't think about what I bring to the table if I'm doing things. And so I love that, like, for me to help as many people as I possibly can, I almost have to be silent, unreachable for a season. It's not gonna be forever, but it's just like I need this right now to get to that next step. I have to have it. And it's been like super fruitful to be able to see some progress.
I'm so excited too. It's just like one of those that like you're going to I already can see like you're gonna land big roles. And it's so cool watching right now you do like the inner work and honing your craft, knowing that that's going to come down the pipeline. And I mean, to anyone who listens to this, like these are journeys that you're going to want to stick around and see because they are going to inspire you on those days that you do feel like quitting. Maybe this episode is about quitting. Who knows at this point, but like there it truly is so easy to just stop doing these things when you're out of alignment. But like we've been listening to ourselves lately, and I mean, I think you've been in alignment, but now it's like there's signs that there's more to be done.
Yeah, which I'm still like, how? Everything has just exceeded my wildest dreams. But the thing is, I didn't stop. I didn't quit. I cried when I lost a client and I kept going. I persevered. I think tenacity is so crucial when you're a creative and an entrepreneur, especially as a creative. I mean, creatives get told no like every day. That's just part of it. And that needs to be more normalized. But it's just like I I see that too. I see that there's more and, like, I'm not forcing it. I'm just doing, again, just what's in front of me. What is a yes right now? What can I control? I'm gonna focus on that. I'm gonna let that determine my inner self and my emotions, not outside circumstances.
Wow, I'm fired up by all of this. It's really so exciting. I wish I had a better tutorial for people on like how to truly listen to your gut and give yourself the space, but like I think the best thing people can do is just audit like what do you actually do during the day and how much time do you give yourself to think? And I started like catching on to this in college, and then when I got my full-time job as a civil engineer, I noticed how many people don't give themselves any space at all. Like they work at their desk during the day looking at two computer screens, and then they go to the bathroom and sit on their phone for 15 minutes just so that they're like, "Oh, good, like no work, like let me distract myself with something else." And then back to work again and like when you have 5 minutes in between a task, you just sit on your phone some more and it's like I truly think that phones can be the killer of your intuition.
Yeah. They they give you dopamine, and that to me, I am so protective of what I allow to give me dopamine. I am so protective over that. I think that is like probably the answer. Is just like protect what is giving you dopamine. Protect what's giving you happiness because you can't put that in other things. And the thing is, your intuition, there's like red flags, green flags, beige flags, right? A lot of people are afraid to make the wrong decision, so they don't make any decision. And I think that you almost have to make a decision to determine if this was the right decision. And if it's not, you just pivot. It's not life or death all the time. Like, even when we moved to LA, I remember I was like, okay, well, we're going to spend all of our savings trying to live here for 3 months. But, like, worst case scenario, I go live with my mom for a few months to rebuild up my life, I guess. Like, me and my husband would move in with my parents again if we had to. But that's not what happened. But the thing is I still listened. I still made a decision, and it's just one of those things where it's like you kinda learn by doing and you learn by how you're feeling. Your feelings, your gut will tell you things, but you have to be careful that you're not speaking or making decisions from a fear foundation. Because when you're making decisions based on fear or what ifs, that isn't necessarily good. That's going to taint your decision making because it's not a trust-based foundation.
Yeah, that trusting the process is so important, but it's also so hard at first. Like when I was first just like I'm making TikToks every day and everyone's making me feel weird about it and I have no idea how I'm going to make money doing this. It was so hard to trust the process, but I was doing so much inner work at that time so that I can just constantly remind myself like this is going somewhere and it's going to work out and it's going to put me on the path and I don't know what that path looks like. Can't see it from here, but I was just doing so much inner work and I was just documenting all of it, like cold plunges in the morning, like tons of meditation, just writing in a journal and writing down like my honest thoughts of like, what the hell am I doing? This feels like I'm failing. Still not going to quit. Not sure why, but I'm not gonna. And it's just amazing like what you can do if you have the space. But people don't give themselves the space always because there's so many distractions and there's so many things pulling at our attention. Like I miss when I was 12 and I had a flip phone. I miss it so much. Like I we were talking the other day about how like I hate that my truck has a screen and apps. I'm so bothered by it. It should have a radio, like an FM radio, and the AC should be broken so that I have to put down the windows and smell the air. And I just love living simply. And I battle constantly against my phone because I have to do work on it and I have to like make content and I consume too much content still. Um, but like the biggest thing I know when I'm out of alignment, step back, delete some apps, find more time for me to sit there and think. And that's how I find my path again. Like I veered off my path just slightly. I was building my business in the wrong way. I was helping people, and that's always like my thing. But I was turning away most people because they couldn't afford my help. And I was like, or they're not ready for it because I would never work with someone that I'm not going to get good results for. Um, so, like, I was just slightly veering off the path, and then I gave myself some space to think. And I was like, wait a minute, there's the path. Like, almost like you're walking in the woods and like sometimes you close your eyes for like a minute and you start bumping into trees and you're like, this doesn't feel great. Feels like I'm not on the path. And then you open your eyes and you look back and you're like, oh, that's the path. And it goes that way. And I'm over here. I'm off the path. Like, let me take a couple steps back, even though that sometimes hurts and doesn't feel good, and then get back to where I was supposed to be going. But like all the distractions are like closing your eyes. And when you can cut them out, it's like you can see.
Yeah, great analogy. And also, I know some people that know the path they need to go on, but they're too afraid to take it because it's scary, especially when you're a parent and you're responsible for others. Like, that's scary. And I get that. And it's like, these are the little things where it's like, yes, be responsible. Don't just quit everything and then not have anything coming in. But don't completely ignore the path you know you're supposed to take because you're just hurting yourself and your family because that path is going to bring fruit. If God, the universe, whatever, wants you to go down that path, there's a reason. And it's not to harm you, it's to help you. It's to bring good into your life. And it's like we we have these what ifs that really overtake what we know we're supposed to be doing. And it's sad, but it's like one of those things where it's like you got to take one step at a time, do something. Also, if you want to like what helped me the most, and this is just me personally, I know this would not be Nick's answer, but it's just like when I really made that first big decision, the way that I justified it to myself was that I'm gonna make this a really good story of either how I failed or how I succeeded. And to me, I was like, I'll do it for the people. I'll do it for the story. I'll make the big decision so I could tell somebody someday. And like it's crazy sitting on this podcast right now because I'm like, what the heck? I freaking wow. Like, wow. Because I did it, I'm here today with Nick and all of you. And I made it to where it's like, this is gonna be a story. So let's freaking tell a good one, you know?
Yeah, do it for the plot, you know? I would rather be on my path and less financially wealthy than completely out of alignment with myself and rich. And like what's nice is you often don't have to decide between the two, but sometimes on the path there is a point where you're like, my income is going to go down by getting back on the path, but it will take you further because if you're in alignment with yourself and you're happy, you will find that like material and financial wealth too. But it's hard sometimes because people are in situations where they're like, I'm doing well financially. If I get off this path, that's going to go away. And they're going to struggle. And I'm not, just like you said, I'm not saying just go up and quit your job, but you got to start doing those things to get you on the path. And your proper path will take you further in terms of like happiness and wealth and your best self than anything. Like imagine just being out of alignment with yourself your whole life and then like you have kids and you're just like not the parent you wanted to be because you're not happy and you're not in alignment with yourself. Like that feels like my biggest fear because we all know people that are like that person's not happy. And I know they just wish things are different and they wish that they took more risks earlier in life and followed their gut, but it's hard. It's hard to do.
And it's never too late either. That's the thing. It's like you could be 65 and just starting doing something you wanna do. You know, it's just it's not too late. Even if you have kids, it's different, but the thing is your path is gonna look different than everyone else's. So what I've seen a lot of people do lately is they see others being successful with TikTok Shop, and then they'll just go all in with TikTok Shop, and then they don't see the results that others saw, and then they're devastated. And it's like, "Okay, okay, okay, let's take a step back. Let's remember to not put all of our eggs in one basket, but also let's remember that timelines are so different. Like every single timeline is different. Every single one. I've been a content creator for many, many years, okay? Like it's not like I just started this. I've been making content for over a decade. But the thing is, I would if I was newer to it, I would wanna compare my timeline because that's what we do. We do that as humans. We're like, "Okay, when I'm 16, I'll get a car." Like, that's a timeline a lot of people have, you know? There's, like, certain timelines that we just innately do as a society. That's okay. But I'm saying don't make that dictate how you expect something to turn out. Just know that when you're putting in the input, the output will come. Don't put a timeline on it. Don't put an expectation on when it will come. Just know that the work that you're doing, if you truly enjoy the work that you're doing, there's a reason, keep doing it, and then know that fruit will come later. Just don't expect a specific time it will come because it's just going to hurt you. It's just going to put you down and then prevent you from making more content, for example, or speaking to more people or whatever your thing is. It's just going to stop you because then you're like flooded with emotions that really shouldn't be there because you need to stay neutral.
That's so perfectly said. Like the neutrality of it is so important. That's one thing that I feel like has helped me a lot. I'm so level-headed always. Like I don't have big highs or lows. Sometimes it hurts. Also, I don't celebrate my wins as much as I should. That's also something I've been uncovering lately, or others have helped me uncover. Is like you have accomplished so much, and you don't give yourself any like serious credit or like stop and just like live in that. And I'm like, oh,
But you're not putting yourself down, right?
no, I just like sometimes I'm too neutral that I also don't celebrate like massive things and accomplishments. Like I'm almost too neutral sometimes. So I'm trying to work on like enjoying myself more.
But Nick, are you happy? Like, I'm asking because personally, I do the same thing. Like, I'm not overly sad or happy. I'm just so grateful every day though. So that's why I'm asking, are you overall just kind of like living in a thriving state? Because I think if I celebrated my wins more like I used to, then I would also be hurt more by my losses. And I don't want that to happen. So it's like I like the neutrality. I personally need that for my mental health. But I'm also a super happy, grateful person. I'm never looking out like, oh, I wish I had this. Oh, why can't I? Like, I just don't have that mindset. So, like, you might be okay, but I mean, how are you doing overall?
No, like so good. I was thinking about it this morning when I was going to pick up bait because I'm going fishing tomorrow morning, and I was like, I got some new rod holders for my truck, and I was like in the sun, barefoot in the grass, putting them on this morning, and I was like, I am so fucking blessed. Like this is just so nice. Like this life. And I used to just dream of this. I would just be stuck in an office and I would just dream of it. And I was like, I just want to be in the sun in the morning. So yeah, no, trust me. I'm like, I think I'm right where I need to be, um, in the best way possible.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad thing. I think that I don't know. I don't know. I don't think that you need to work on it, I guess. I mean, I celebrate things, but it's I don't let it control my emotions, I think is the thing, because I don't want things to control my emotions. Again, I'm protective over them because I want to stay neutral. I want to stay level-headed. I want to stay open and flexible and unbothered so that when something happens, I'm not freaking out over it. I'm like, "Okay, well, I guess that just wasn't meant to be." And then when it comes back around, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess it was meant to be. Like, I'm just here. I'm here. I'm doing what I know should do, what I can do. And like, I kind of let the blessings just come. And I don't know. I love where I am right now. Like, I am in the best place I've been in my entire life, and I have been constantly in this, like, state of mind, and so I like it, so I'm just gonna keep doing my thing, but if you find out that that's not a good thing and you have some things to share, please share with us because I don't see that neutrality being a bad thing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Wow, this was such a fun episode. We went totally off the original topic in the best way. This is what needed to come out for sure. Um, I want so badly for our listeners to hear this and go on to creationtocashflow.com and leave us a voice recording and tell us what's going on with you where you're like, I feel like I'm having this gut calling to do this, but whatever problems or fears or things you're facing, I love speaking on things like this. It's it's so fulfilling helping people like follow their gut and their intuition because it really does help to have someone else to help you be like, here's what I would do. Um, so leave us those voice memos, or you could type it up as well if you're not comfortable leaving the voice memo, but go to creation to cashflow, cashflow.com. Leave us those messages. Let us throw in our 2 cents if you're comfortable and see if we can help guide you back on the path. Because that's why we do this. I mean, this episode was about me and Michelle's life today, but all of the lessons were for you guys. Wow. This was a great one. Also, go check out our. You can watch this. You don't if you normally just listen. You can also watch on YouTube. Creation to Cash Flow. You can go check out our Instagram and TikTok, also Creation to Cash Flow. You can check out Michelle's personal Instagram and TikTok and other things at Michelle JH. That's Michelle with 2 L's, then 4 E's, JH. And go check me out on all the things at Get Ahead with Nick. Anything else to add, Michelle?
Um, no, except that if you feel like quitting, ask yourself why you started in the first place. Ask yourself if this is going to get you closer to your goal, and then cry, get over it, keep going, because you got this.
Perfect note to end on. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next time.